We are the Law and Crime Network, and guess what? We have a development in the Jeffrey Epstein case. Remember him, arrested yesterday? Well, you have to stay with us and listen to this amazing package put together by Brian Ross before we talk about it. You know, I wasn't hopeful that anything would happen because we covered this when Julie Brown's story came out in the Miami Herald. It was great. I had a stack of papers like this. And then about 2 weeks ago, before I went on vacation, I cleaned house and threw them away. And I'm so happy to be having to discuss this story with both of you. Bob Hille, what was your reaction yesterday when Epstein was finally arrested when he flew into Teterboro, our state, New Jersey?
Well, certainly the Southern District made no bones about their aggressive approach to prosecuting him, and they really sprung it. They didn't get involved or engaged in this warfare with his lawyers that apparently happened in the Florida case. So, you know, they got their ducks lined up, and then they went in. And now, of course, there may be new charges of child pornography that are much easier to prove even than the sex trafficking cases.
Yeah. Gene, Rossi, they executed a search warrant on in his house, and in his safe he had pictures of young women. Now, we don't know if they're underage young women. We don't know necessarily what they're doing. But do you smell superseding, which means a new indictment with new charges?
Oh, absolutely, because it's the Southern District of New York. They are the masters of superseding indictments, number one. But even if it were the Eastern District of Virginia where I rolled, we didn't do this much. I will guarantee you, I will eat my pen if they do not supersede based on the documents they allegedly got from his residence in Manhattan, the nine-floor mansion that he lives in, for a couple reasons. One, he appears to have possessed child porn, a 5-year federal minimum sentence. Number two, he appears allegedly to have produced child porn, a 15-year mandatory minimum that will be stacked in addition to the 5. So he's looking at least 20 years, if not more, of jail, and he's 66. That is a life sentence.
Well, let's see what else the U.S. attorney, who was appointed, by the way, by President Trump, his name is Geoffrey Berman. Let's see what else he had to say about, and we have a memo, okay? I feel a little bit like a presidential candidate. I have a memo for this, okay? We have a memo to tell us where we think he's going to spend the next maybe 2 years before he does go to trial. Bob Hille, you're from New Jersey. I was a prosecutor in New Jersey. I was assigned to the sex crimes unit, ran it for a while. As a prosecutor, all the cases came through my team. He is absolutely right. Victims are affected for the rest of their life. So how did he get a deal like that he got?
Well, that's going to be a lot of what's going on down in Florida, and the U.S. Attorney's Office looking into it down there. That's the part that Barr has recused himself from, so it'll be interesting to see what develops there.
Well, we'll talk about Mr. Barr's recusal later, but let me ask the same question of Gene Rossi. How did he get a deal knowing the harm that sexual abuse has on children? And when I say children, I mean anyone who is younger than, 18, 16, who's taken advantage of. But Gene Rossi, are these crimes now time-barred?
No, under RICO, the famous federal RICO statute, you inherit the statute of limitations of the state crime. So if you have an enterprise, and that's the sine qua non of RICO, is you need an enterprise, and he had that as business, and he used his business as employees as the enterprise to commit a state crime. So then you look at the state crime statute of limitations, there is no time bar for RICO. If you commit murder using an enterprise, there's no statute of limitations for murder. That's number one. I got to correct Bob on one thing. I have no respect right now for Attorney General Bill Barr for one reason. He has recused himself from the decision on whether the non-prosecution agreement was violated by Southern District of New York. Bill Barr has not. He has not recused himself from the decisions in the Southern District of New York on whom to charge, whether there is a superseding. And his failure to recuse is a complete and utter disgrace.
We are incensed here at Law and Crime Network. Gene Rossi, we'll talk more about it. But when we come back, we have some news, breaking news in the Scott Nelson trial. We'll talk more Epstein only here, only on the Law and Crime Network. Stay with us.